So, get this. My father uninvited me from his wedding, gave my spot at the head table to his new stepdaughter, and still had the nerve to demand I pay for the whole thing. He told me I was out because his new wife wanted her daughter to have my place. I was just devastated. I felt completely replaced. But the story doesn't stop there. Oh no. He still expected me to foot the bill, because of a promise I'd made months ago when things were totally different. So, I'm planning a little surprise for him on his big day. A surprise that's going to expose his greed to our entire family and teach him that actions have consequences. So, to give you some backstory, my relationship with my dad has been, well, complicated. Ever since my parents divorced when I was a teen, we haven't been estranged, but there's always been this distance. He was just always a bit awkward, you know? More wrapped up in his own life than in being a dad. So when he told me he was getting married again to his fiancée, who we'll just call Brenda, I was genuinely happy for him. I really wanted this to be a new chapter for us. I wanted to fix things. Brenda has a daughter, Ashley, who's a few years younger than me. And right from the start, it was painfully obvious my dad was obsessed with his new, instant family. He doted on Ashley, constantly singing her praises, while anything I accomplished might as well have been invisible. It stung, not gonna lie, but I kept telling myself to be the bigger person. This was his shot at happiness, and I wanted to support that. So, as a gesture of that support, and if I'm being honest, as a way to maybe buy my way back into his good graces, I made him a very generous offer. Weddings are insanely expensive, and I'd just gotten some inheritance money from my grandmother. I told my dad I would love to help pay for the wedding. Not just chip in, but cover a huge chunk of it. Specifically, I offered to pay the entire catering bill for their venue, and trust me, it was not cheap. He was ecstatic. He called me the best daughter in the world, and for a split second, I actually felt like we were finally connecting. I felt seen. That feeling, as you can probably guess, did not last long. And this is where everything just completely went off the rails. About a month before the wedding, my dad calls me. It was one of those calls where the small talk is so forced you can feel the bad news hiding around the corner, waiting to jump out. After a few minutes of hemming and hawing, he finally drops the bomb. So, he starts, and his voice is all strained. Brenda and I were finalizing the seating for the head table, and, well, Brenda feels really strongly that Ashley should be up there with us. You know, as her daughter. It's important for their new family unit. I just waited. Okay. I said, drawing the word out. And? Well, he sighs, there just isn't enough room. We have to keep the party small. So, we're going to have to take you off the invitation list. I was completely silent. I couldn't even process what he was saying. He wasn't just moving me to a different table. He was kicking me out of his wedding. For her. His new daughter. It felt like a punch to the gut. To uninvite your own kid from your wedding, that's a message. It's a loud and clear message that you are being replaced. I finally managed to stammer out something like, You're uninviting me from your wedding? He tried to smooth it over with all these empty phrases. It's not personal, he said, which, honestly, just made me angrier. It's just about creating a cohesive look for the new family. We hope you understand. No, I didn't understand. I hung up the phone, feeling completely shattered. For a few days, I was just numb. Then, the anger started to build. And just when I thought it couldn't possibly get more insulting, my phone buzzed. A text from him. Hey sweetie, hope you're not still upset. Just following up on the catering payment. The venue needs the final deposit next week. Let me know when you've taken care of it. I stared at that text for a solid 10 minutes. My fingers were just hovering over the keyboard, thinking of all the furious things I wanted to say. In the end, I just sent back one word. No. And let me tell you, the fallout was instant. My dad called me, sputtering about how I was breaking my promise and ruining his special day. He called me selfish and ungrateful. Then Brenda sent me this long, passive-aggressive text about how disappointed she was in my immaturity and how I was casting a dark cloud over their happiness. Even Ashley chimed in, telling me to get over it and stop being so dramatic. They just didn't get it. A promise to give a gift is tied to the spirit of the event. When you get kicked out of the party, you are not still on the hook to pay the cover charge. It just doesn't work that way. Any obligation I had, financial or otherwise, was gone the second he uninvited me. The more they pushed, the clearer my decision became. They had showed me exactly what I was worth to them, which was basically just an ATM. So, I decided to treat their request with the same respect they had shown me. My surprise wasn't about being petty or getting revenge. It was about consequences. Here's the thing they conveniently forgot: when I'd offered to pay, I made all the arrangements with the venue myself. The contract, the deposit, everything was in my name. I'd put down a 50% deposit on my credit card, with the rest of the very large bill due the week before the wedding. My plan was simple. It was clean. And in my opinion, it was poetic justice. I wasn't going to do anything. I was just going to stop doing something. I was going to cancel the contract. And this is where it gets good. I didn't call my dad to warn him. I didn't give Brenda a heads up. I just called the venue coordinator, explained that I would no longer be financing the catering, and formally canceled the premium meal package I had booked. I told them to talk to the groom about making other arrangements. I lost the deposit, but I considered it a small price to pay for my dignity. Then, I blocked my dad, Brenda, and Ashley on everything. And I got on with my life. The day of the wedding came. I spent it with my mom, watching movies and eating pizza, and I felt this strange sense of peace. Then, around 7 p.m., right when the reception should have been kicking off, my phone started blowing up with calls from unknown numbers: aunts, uncles, cousins. I ignored them all. Later that night, the voicemails and texts started pouring in from family who were actually at the wedding. Apparently, the happy couple never bothered to check on the catering after I said I wouldn't pay. They just assumed I'd get upset and then cave. They assumed wrong. Instead of the fancy 3-course meal they'd been bragging about to all their guests, the venue had only managed to throw together the most basic emergency option: some cheese platters and a few sad-looking veggie trays. My aunt's voicemail was a work of art. "Honey, what is going on? Your father is running around here absolutely furious. He's telling everyone you sabotaged his wedding. There's no dinner. Is this true?" Of course, the truth came out. When angry, hungry guests started cornering him, my father had to admit that he'd uninvited his own daughter but still expected her to pay for their dinner. The perfect little family image he had tried so hard to build just shattered. He wasn't just embarrassed, he was completely humiliated. In the end, what did he really expect? He chose to publicly devalue me, so I just responded to the message he sent. He wanted to treat our relationship like a transaction, so I closed the account. When I shared the story online, the verdict was overwhelmingly not the a-hole.